In this video, since I had a couple of requests, I'll show how you make sizes. This size is the smallest size I can make. This is the size that I normally use. This is the one size I made up bigger so I can show you the next size. And then instead of making another size, which is way too many, I figured I'll just make you the biggest size you can find, which is this piece, which is basically a whole piece of paper. It's a lot of material. So push this to the side and go and start. Well, you can go out, get yourself a piece of paper and a ruler, and you can try to cut and all this, and grab a piece of scissors, and cut it. But then you take here all day and you probably only cut like 20 pieces, 30 pieces off of this one sheet. So I'm gonna show you a fastest way to cut these pieces that I make. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move my small pieces out because that's my size, and my next size out, which is also my size, and I'm gonna show you a size, which is, this is just a slightly bigger than my normal ones. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make this size. So I put 5 of them together just to see what it would look like before you made a sequence. So this is how big they would be. So I'm just going to take one off. Okay, and I'm going to show you how big it really is. I can't really tell you a size because these are just guesstimated kind of thing. And also I used a domino, and then I went from there and made it better. Okay, so when I took one piece off, this is how big it is. Sorry, there's a little hole in there, but I was wasting paper. But this is how big the size is, okay, compared to my regular size one, which I'll take a piece off right now. I can show you. Sorry, it's taking too long, but I'll show you the difference on how big the difference is. See, and the smaller one obviously is going to be smaller like that, and that's the smallest I've ever gotten. Other than that, my hands would start to really be like, whoa. So this is my size, this is the size up, and this is the grande size if you want to make giant pieces, but this was way overkill. But I'm gonna show you how to do that. So let's go with how to make this an easier cut. So you asked me, how do I make a size? So well, technically I don't really know, I just use a domino, but this is what I thought I would do. You're only going to use, really, if you folded it, you would see the lines. If you took it apart, you would see all these bunch of lines. So really you're just going to use one of these squares. Which will probably be that square if you keep an eye on it. It's going to be that one right there, and that one, and then two opposite way from each other, that one. These two squares are the only ones you really need. All this other stuff is just extra fold. But anyways, I'm going to show you how to size and cut all three of these, and you can have at least an idea of how to start and make your own sizes later. Okay, so let's, like I said, you can do the paper and the tape measure and the ruler thing, or you could do it what I learned, make a cutting board. This is basically just a cardboard that I used, probably had like the paper, the yellow paper on it, and I'm gonna use this as my cutting board. Okay, so not to go like this, but to technically show you how to cut this on this paper and make it fast, easy, and less waste. Okay, so let's just say, imagine this is your paper, okay, and you want to get this big guy, which is the size I'm going to show you how to make. Well, I don't know how big it is, but I can measure it just so that you guys can have a start. So technically it looks like it's, that's the millimeters on the side, sorry. Technically it looks like it's 3 inches long, right? And it's almost 1.5 inches wide. So I can go just like that. So what I did was I went out, I cut the piece, which was 3 again at 2.5, right? So instead of having to make all these lines on this paper for this one little piece, I just went ahead and got my cutting papers. I'm gonna show you cut it. You take this thing and you put the long way like this, make it touch the top, the long way like this. Grab yourself a handy little pen or a marker or crayon, I don't care, and just mark the length. Okay, then you turn it, same area, same thing, flatten it against the surface, and you mark it right there. Then you take your handy ruler and you try to make it all the way across, nice and straight like that. Okay, so now this is your size, this is your length, this is your cross. So if you wanted, you could just go like this to make it easier for you to look at. Like that. Like that. Now you have an idea of how big your piece is going to be. So having this ready, you would take, I use a razor blade, careful though, cut yourself, and basically line it up along that bottom one, like that, and zip line, boop, cross. Okay, now you have the long length. Then you just kind of keep going, make a bunch of them long length like that. My razor blade. Okay, and it's easier, just push it across, just basically push it across, and if the razor blade is nice and sharp, it'll go across. If not, it'll snag. So now that you made a couple of those, okay, then instead of that, you go to the shorter version, then you turn it, go to the shorter version, and again, underneath the first layer, just push up across the top like that, and just slide it over, just like that. Okay, so I could keep going, but I just wanted to show you how I made the pieces. So now I have every single one of my pieces are going to be identical to that size, and once I fold them, boom, 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 I'll have, ta-da, your size. Okay, so use this as your handy dandy cutting board, and if you see on the other side, I went ahead and made my version of the cutting board. Okay, this is my size, this is what I used to cut, and this is the bigger size, which you can learn to cut. And I don't know if you want to have that measurement, but I can give it to you too. This one is almost 2.5 inches and almost an inch, little larger than an inch. That's my size, and your size is going to be 3 inches in length and about 1.5 inches wide. Okay, then once you have all these pieces, boom, 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 you do the same thing with the silver, and whatever paper you're gonna use. This is just paper I found, material, but this is good paper because it's thick. It's not too thick and it's not too thin. It's nice. It's a nice feel to it. You don't want paper that's too thick, because as you fold the pieces, these will get bulky and they're really hard to fold if they're fat and thick. So you want to get a nice, maybe a National Geographic. I don't know, if you want to go out and buy some paper and waste it, you could do that. But you don't, you can buy get a magazine, any magazine in your house. But technically, that's your size. Okay. So for those who are watching, thank you for watching again, and hopefully I explained enough to you to how to cut and size your pieces. You do the same thing with your other material, the silver, which would be basically your bag of chips. I could show you that, but it would be just the same basic. Just basically wash down your chips and then just come along and fold them here, and then you can get your color, because you know your colors are going to be inside. So what I did with this one is I made a little square inside. If you can see, I made a little square inside my cut, so that way if I needed to, I can see where to make sure this is color on my piece when I cut it. And after years of doing this, you'll figure out what I'm talking about. Okay, well, this is for those who want to learn how to cut and size. Use a cardboard Nice razor blade, sharp, not too sharp, but you don't want it too dull, because if it does, it'll start cracking, and then it'll do these little funny cuts across the top. So anyways, razor blade, cardboard, tape measure to measure it, pin to mark it, and all the paper you need, from magazine down to whatever, as long as it's not too thin, not too thick, depends on you. If you want to make a large piece like this, let me show you how to make a large piece, which is really weird to make. But if you want to make a largest one, this is the largest one I could find to make. Let me just show you how big it is. Now, unless you're gonna waste this much paper, this is how much one piece is gonna look. So good luck with one bag of chips each on one piece if you want to make it like that. But this technically is basically cutting off the red line right here, and cutting off, flipping it over, and then cutting that red line over here, and that's what you get when you cut the red lines off. This is how big this one is. And you would fold that into this size and make the biggest size I can make out of one piece of paper. But you don't want that. You want the 3-inch one, or mine, which is this one right here, which is a little slightly smaller, and then it gets to a smallest size, which is way too little, because you can see the squares right there are too small. All right, I maybe said too much, but good luck. Any more questions, send me a message, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to friends so we can show everybody. All right, thank you again for watching the video, and good luck, and send more comments if you have any.